Let me tell you about this 1985 Chevy Silverado I found on Marketplace. At $27,000, we're looking at a seriously restored classic pickup that's been given a lot of attention. The sellers clearly put a lot of work into making this truck stand out from the crowd. The truck's sporting a fresh rebuilt transmission with barely 500 miles on it, and it's only been used for car shows. That's a good sign for anyone worried about wear and tear. They've upgraded it with a one-piece window replacing the original sliding glass and added a Flowmaster exhaust system that probably gives it a nice deep rumble. The suspension's been modified with drop spindles up front and a flip kit in the rear, all sitting on massive 24-inch rims, 12 inches wide in the back and 8.5 in the front, fitted without having to cut the body. Under the hood, you've got a 305 engine with a mild RV cam and headers, and they've even added a power sunroof that's leak-free. The audio system's been upgraded with sundown components and two 6.5-inch subs. The gray exterior paired with the silver interior makes for a clean look, and the clean title is always good news. Being honest here, while $27,000 is a significant investment, you're getting a well-maintained show truck with lots of modern upgrades. Just remember that modified classics like this can require specific maintenance and care. If you're into the show truck scene and appreciate custom classics, this could be worth checking out. 2. Let's check out this 1983 Chevy 1500 I found on Marketplace for $20,000. This is an interesting one. It's got that classic square body style that people love, but with some modern muscle under the hood thanks to a 5.3L engine swap. That's actually a pretty smart upgrade because you get the classic looks with more reliable modern power. The truck's sitting on 22-inch US mags wheels, which definitely give it some attitude, and the seller mentions they've done a complete interior refresh. With 50,000 miles showing, that's not too bad for a 40-year-old truck, though with the engine swap, we'd want to know the mileage on that 5.3L specifically. Being completely honest here, the seller's description is pretty brief, which leaves a lot of questions unanswered. For $20,000, you'd want to know more about when the engine swap was done, who did the work, and get some details about the fresh interior they're mentioning. The gray exterior could look clean, but we'd need to see it in person to judge the paint condition. This could be a cool daily driver that combines old-school charm with modern reliability. But at this price point, you'd definitely want to see it in person and maybe get a mechanic to check out that engine swap. These square-body Chevys are getting more popular every year, so the price isn't completely out of line if everything's done right. 3. Let's talk about this 1967 Chevy Classic that's up for grabs at $17,500. This is one of those vintage rides that catches your eye, and with only 2 previous owners and 49,359 miles on the clock, it's got an interesting story to tell. The brown exterior paired with that off-white interior is a classic 60s combo, and according to the seller, it's in great condition. They've made some performance upgrades, including a Stage 2 cam and an upgraded radiator, which shows someone's put some thought into improving its reliability and performance. Those aftermarket wheels probably give it a nice updated look while keeping that classic vibe. Being completely honest here, the seller's description is pretty minimal for a classic car at this price point. While they claim it works and drives great, you'd really want more specific details about the car's history, any restoration work, and the condition of crucial components like the transmission, suspension, and interior. That required $300 deposit mention is interesting. While it's not unusual for sought-after classics, you'd want to be careful with any deposits and make sure everything's properly documented. For $17,500, this could be a decent deal if everything checks out, but you definitely want to see it in person, get a thorough inspection, and ask for detailed maintenance records. Classic cars from '67 can be fantastic investments, but they need proper documentation to support their value. Don't forget to check for any rust issues. That's always crucial with cars of this age. 4. Let me tell you about this interesting 1977 Ford F-150 I found on Marketplace for $10,000. This is a classic F-150 Ranger XLT 4X4 with quite a story to tell. It's an old farm truck that's been given some serious mechanical love, though it's still rough around the edges cosmetically. Let's be honest, it needs some TLC on the outside, but what's under the hood is pretty impressive. The heart of this truck is a heavily modified 390 block with 428 components, professionally built by Ames. We're talking about $10,000 worth of engine work alone. It's got a beefy 950 CFM carb, a rebuilt C6 automatic transmission, and a 4-inch Rancho lift that gives it that classic tough truck stance. With 93,000 original miles, it's got plenty of life left. The seller's been using it regularly, even mentions a recent trip to Fallon where it easily hits 75-80 mph. They've put in a lot of new parts. Power steering motor, brake master cylinder, brake booster, though it still needs new brake shoes, heater motor, wiper motor, and they've added new door seals and soundproofing. Look, it's not a show truck. It's a project that's mechanically solid, but needs cosmetic work to be truly complete. But for someone looking for a classic F-150 with serious power potential and most of the hard mechanical work already done, this could be a great opportunity. The blue-on-blue color scheme is classic 70s style, and while it might not be pristine, it's got that authentic vintage truck character that's getting harder to find these days. 5. Let me tell you about this interesting 1984 Dodge Ram 1500 I found on Marketplace for $5,000. This is quite a find. We're looking at a one-owner Dodge Ram with incredibly low mileage at just 27,000 miles, which is remarkably rare for a truck of this age. The tan exterior paired with the brown interior is a classic 80s color combination that really takes you back to that era. What makes this truck particularly interesting is its single-owner history. Having one owner typically means more consistent maintenance and care throughout the vehicle's life. The automatic transmission and gasoline engine were standard for these trucks, and they were known for their reliability. However, I should note that the seller's description is unusually brief, only mentioning low miles. This could be a red flag, as we'd typically want to know more about the truck's condition, maintenance history, and any potential issues. At $5,000, you'd want to inspect it thoroughly before making a decision. The 1984 Ram was part of the first-generation Ram series, and these trucks have developed a following among classic truck enthusiasts. While it might not have the power of modern pickups, these old Rams were built to last and are relatively simple to work on. Being completely honest, you'd want to verify that odometer reading and get a detailed inspection, especially given the minimal description. But if everything checks out, this could be a great find for someone looking for a classic Ram with unusually low mileage. 6. Let me tell you about this fascinating 1969 Ford E350 Supervan that's currently listed for $16,000. This isn't your ordinary van. We're looking at a piece of history here, a retired fire department van from Florence, Oregon. What makes this particularly interesting is its impressive condition with minimal rust, which is rare for a vehicle of this age, especially one that served as a fire department vehicle. The van has undergone some serious modernization while maintaining its classic charm. Under the hood, there's a 1977 Ford 302 engine paired with a C6 transmission conversion. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's been upgraded with a Holley Sniper 1450 EFI system and Holley Hyperspark distributor, essentially bringing modern fuel injection reliability to this classic. With just 35,242 miles on the clock and sporting a fresh red paint job that's only a year old, this van presents well. The seller has clearly invested significantly in maintenance and upgrades, new door and window gaskets, Hooker long tube headers, ceramic coated and wrapped, new brakes and fresh gaskets all around. Plus, they've kept detailed documentation of all the work done, which is always a good sign. Being completely honest, the interior needs work. The seller admits this up front. The rear bumper also needs attention. But mechanically, this van appears to be solid and well maintained. For someone looking for a unique classic van with modern reliability upgrades, this could be a great find. The fire department history adds an interesting story to what's already a rare vehicle, and the mechanical upgrades make it more practical for regular use than a purely stock example would be. 7. Let me tell you about this 1984 Chevrolet Scottsdale that's up for $15,000 on Marketplace. This is a clean example of a classic 80s Chevy truck, and with 50,000 miles on the clock, it's got relatively low mileage for its age. The truck's powered by the reliable 305 V8 5.0L small block, paired with the bulletproof TH400 automatic transmission, a combination that's known for its durability. The seller has clearly put some work into this Scottsdale. It's sporting a fresh blue paint job, and they've invested in a completely new suspension system. One of the biggest perks here is the new AC and heater system. That's a significant upgrade because original climate control systems in these old trucks often need work. The interior is described as clean, which is a plus for a truck of this vintage. It's also been longed, which typically means it's had a bed extension or modification. The seller mentions it's reliable enough for daily use, which speaks to its mechanical condition. Being completely honest, while $15,000 might seem steep for an '84 Scottsdale, the low mileage, fresh paint, and mechanical updates do add value. However, the seller's description is pretty brief, and you'd want to inspect all those new components personally and maybe get some documentation about the work done. This could be a solid choice for someone looking for a classic Chevy truck that's been modernized enough to serve as a reliable daily driver while still maintaining its vintage charm. 8. Let me tell you about this 1969 Chevrolet 1500 that's listed for $16,000. I need to be completely honest here. There's a significant lack of information in this listing that raises some red flags. While the truck is listed as having a clean title and no significant damage or problems, the seller's description is extremely minimal, only stating, "Use it information," which doesn't tell us anything meaningful about the vehicle's condition or history. What we do know is that it's a '69 Chevy with 150,000 miles on it, sporting a yellow exterior and an automatic transmission. These C10s from this era are highly sought after and can be excellent project trucks, but with this mileage and age, you'd really want to know a lot more about its maintenance history and current condition. Being sincere with you, at $16,000, this is a significant investment for a classic truck with such limited information. While '69 Chevys are desirable classics with great potential, I'd strongly recommend getting a much more detailed inspection and history before considering this particular example. The lack of information about mechanical condition, restoration history, or any recent work is concerning at this price point. If you're interested in this truck, you definitely want to see it in person and ask a lot more questions about its history, maintenance, and any restoration work that's been done. 9. Let me tell you about this 1975 Chevrolet C20 long box that's listed for $7,500. Let's be completely honest here. This is a classic work truck with some mixed signals in its description. With 150,000 miles on the clock, it's seen its fair share of use, which is typical for these old C20s. The beige exterior is classic for its era, and these trucks were built to be workhorses. The seller is upfront about a few important points. On the positive side, they've installed new brakes, a new booster, and a new starter, all important mechanical updates that add value. They mention it drives well, which is promising. However, there's a significant issue to note. The seller clearly states that the smog equipment doesn't work anymore. This could be a real problem depending on your location and local emissions requirements. In some areas, this might prevent the truck from being legally registered without repairs. The description is pretty sparse, which is concerning for a vehicle of this age. While they claim no significant damage or problems, you'd really want to see this one in person, which aligns with the seller's preference for in-person offers only. At $7,500, you're looking at a fairly priced C20 if everything else checks out mechanically. These trucks are known for their durability and simplicity, making them relatively easy to work on. However, that non-functioning smog equipment needs to be factored into your decision, as fixing it could be an additional expense. This could be a decent project truck or work vehicle for someone who either lives in an area without emissions testing or is willing to tackle the smog system issues. Just make sure to give it a thorough inspection before making any decisions. 10. Let me tell you about this impressive 1965 Ford F100 that's listed for $22,000. This is one of those classic trucks that's been thoughtfully modernized while maintaining its vintage charm. With 62,289 miles showing, and finished in a striking red exterior with black interior combination, this F100 appears to be a well-executed build. Let's talk about what makes this truck special. Under the hood, you've got a 302 roller engine, which is a great upgrade from the original power plant, paired with a C4 automatic transmission. The 3.0 rear axle gears are perfect for comfortable highway cruising, a smart choice for anyone who actually wants to drive their classic truck regularly. The seller has clearly invested in making this truck both comfortable and reliable. You're getting power steering and power disc brakes all around, both significant upgrades from the original manual systems. The suspension has been updated with lots of new parts and 4 new shocks, which should make it ride much better than a stock 65. Other notable upgrades include a new radiator, new wheels and tires, and a fresh interior. Being a pre-smog vehicle is a big plus for many buyers, especially in states with strict emissions regulations. At $22,000, while it's not cheap, you're looking at what appears to be a well-sorted classic truck with desirable modern upgrades. The seller has provided the VIN, which shows transparency, and the combination of upgrades suggests this was built to be actually driven, not just shown. This could be perfect for someone who wants a classic F100 that can be reliably used while still turning heads at car shows. Just make sure to inspect all those upgrades in person and maybe take it for a test drive to verify everything works as described. 11. Let me tell you about this 1985 GMC 3500 crew cab that's listed for $22,000. I have to be completely honest. The seller's description is extremely minimal, which is concerning for a truck at this price point. What we do know is that it's a California dually with 80,000 miles, sporting a blue exterior and packing the mighty 454 big block V8 paired with a TH400 transmission and a gear vendor's overdrive unit. The California origin is actually a significant plus, as vehicles from there typically have less rust issues compared to those from other regions. The gear vendor's overdrive is a valuable addition that helps make these big trucks more highway-friendly and potentially more fuel-efficient. However, at $22,000, you'd really expect a lot more information about the truck's condition, maintenance history, and any modifications or restoration work. The 454 TH400 combination is legendary for its durability and power, but you'd want to know about its maintenance history. Being sincere, while this could be a great truck, crew cab dualies from this era are becoming increasingly desirable. The lack of detailed information makes it hard to fully evaluate if the asking price is justified. You definitely want to see this one in person, get documentation about its history, and have a thorough mechanical inspection before considering this investment. 12. Let me tell you about this 1972 Chevrolet C10 that's listed for $5,000. I need to be completely upfront here. There are some serious red flags with this listing that potential buyers should be aware of. First, and most importantly, the seller mentions bill of sale only, which means this truck doesn't have a proper title. This can be a major issue when it comes to registering the vehicle, depending on your state's laws. The truck is a long box model with a 6-cylinder engine and automatic transmission, finished in white inside and out. The straight-six engines in these trucks were known for their reliability, though they weren't powerhouses like their V8 counterparts. Being completely honest, the seller's description is worryingly brief. There's no mention of mileage, mechanical condition, rust issues, or any history of the vehicle. At $5,000, while it might seem like a decent price for a classic C10, the lack of a title and information makes this a risky purchase. These 72 C10s can be great project trucks, but without more details about its condition and the complications of a bill of sale only situation, you'd want to be very careful with this one. Make sure you understand your local laws regarding registering a vehicle with just a bill of sale before considering this purchase. This might be worth looking at for someone who really knows these trucks and understands the legal implications of a bill of sale only purchase. But for most buyers, these red flags suggest proceeding with extreme caution. 13. Let me tell you about this 1968 GMC Sierra C10 that's listed for $18,500. This is a working classic, and I appreciate how honest the seller is about its character. Powered by a 327 V8 small block Chevy engine paired with the reliable TH400 automatic transmission, this long bed truck isn't just for show, it's actually being used as intended. The seller's transparency is refreshing. They're upfront about the truck's real-world performance, noting it gets about 13 mpg, and mentioning that it has minor leaks like any old truck. They're actively using it too, making regular drives between Pomona and Linwood, and even hauling engines across LA, which speaks to its reliability. With 104,000 miles on the clock and finished in red inside and out, this truck appears to be in good working condition. The interior is described as being in great shape, and it's got some modern conveniences like a security system and radio. What's particularly appealing here is that this isn't a trailer queen. It's a genuine, usable classic truck that's proven its reliability through regular use. The combination of the 327 V8 and TH400 transmission is known for being robust and dependable. At $18,500, you're paying for a classic truck that's ready to work while still looking good doing it. The seller's honest approach about both its capabilities and its minor issues, like the leaks, suggests this is a well-maintained vehicle that hasn't been over-restored to the point where you'd be afraid to use it. This could be perfect for someone who wants a classic truck they can actually use while still enjoying the vintage aesthetics and character. Just make sure to check those minor leaks and get a good look underneath during inspection. 14. Let me tell you about this 1967 Chevrolet C20 that's listed for $8,000. Let's be completely honest here. This is a classic work truck with some mixed attributes. It's powered by the legendary 292 inline-6 engine, which is paired with a Muncie 4-speed manual transmission, a robust and reliable powertrain combination that these trucks were known for. With 120,000 miles on the clock, that's actually reasonable mileage for a truck of this age. The seller is upfront about an existing electrical issue, which is important to note. They describe it as small, but with old trucks, electrical problems can sometimes be tricky to diagnose and fix. This is something you definitely want to investigate further before making a decision. The blue exterior gives it that classic look, and having a clean title is definitely a plus, especially for a vehicle with 3+ owners. The seller states there's no significant damage or problems, aside from the mentioned electrical issue. At $8,000, the price point is in the reasonable range for a 67 C20, considering it's a running and driving example. However, the extremely brief description leaves a lot of questions unanswered. You'd want to know more about the condition of the body, frame, interior, and specifics about that electrical problem. This could be a good project for someone who knows these trucks and isn't afraid of dealing with old-school wiring issues. The 2192 Muncie combination is highly regarded, but make sure to thoroughly inspect the electrical system and get more details about its overall condition before making any decisions. 15. Let me tell you about this 1974 Ford F-250 Ranger XLT that's listed for $9,000. I really appreciate the seller's honesty here. This is a black-on-black F-250 with some interesting features and a refreshingly transparent description. The headline feature is its recently rebuilt 460 V8 engine and C6 transmission, both with less than 30,000 miles since the rebuild. That's a significant investment in the truck's mechanicals. While the truck shows 169,000 miles on the odometer, the rebuilt drivetrain is what you'll want to focus on. The 460 C6 combination is legendary for its durability and power, perfect for heavy-duty use. The seller is upfront about using it regularly, even in winter, which shows confidence in its reliability. They're also honest about the body condition. There's some rust present, though they claim it's purely cosmetic and doesn't affect the structural integrity. This is something you definitely want to verify in person, but the straightforward disclosure is appreciated. At $9,000, considering the rebuilt drivetrain alone, the price seems reasonable. The fact that they're willing to trade it for a horse trailer suggests they're flexible on the value. The Ranger XLT trim was one of the nicer packages for these trucks, adding some extra comfort features. This could be a solid choice for someone looking for a classic work truck with updated mechanicals. The cosmetic rust means you could either restore it or just use it as is without worrying too much about perfect aesthetics. Just make sure to inspect that rust carefully to verify it's truly just surface level as claimed. 16. Let me tell you about this 1976 Chevrolet van that's listed for $9,000 in Cave Junction, Oregon. This appears to be a well-maintained example with some interesting recent work done. With 135,000 miles and only 2 previous owners, it's got a relatively clean history. The tan exterior and green interior combination is definitely period correct and gives it that classic 70s vibe. The seller has recently invested in some significant mechanical upgrades. The transmission has been rebuilt with less than 100 miles on it, and they've added a heavy-duty torque converter with a shift kit. That's a meaningful upgrade for durability. They've also installed new shocks all around, new front brake pads and rotors, and new tires front and rear. What's particularly interesting is that this is a C20 Camper Special model, which is indeed harder to find in clean condition, as the seller mentions. These were built tougher than standard vans to handle camper conversions and heavier loads. One impressive detail is that everything reportedly works, including the original AM radio. That's pretty rare for a vehicle of this age. The fact that it's retained its original equipment and still functions speaks to how well it's been maintained over the years. At $9,000, considering the recent mechanical work and its apparently well-preserved condition, this could be a solid buy for someone looking for a classic Chevy van, especially given its desirable Camper Special specification. Just make sure to verify all the recent work with documentation and give it a thorough inspection, particularly checking for any rust issues common to these vans. 17. Let me tell you about this 1969 Ford F100 that's listed for $2,800. Let's be completely upfront about this truck. It's a white F100 with a gray interior, showing 60,000 miles on the odometer and equipped with a 360 motor and an 8-foot bed. The seller is very clear about 2 key points. The engine runs fantastic, but there's a significant issue. It's stuck in 1 gear. Being totally honest, this is a project truck being sold because the current owner doesn't have time to work on it. The transmission problem is a major issue that any potential buyer needs to seriously consider. While the asking price of $2,800 OBO, or best offer, reflects this problem, you'd need to factor in the cost and effort of fixing the transmission. That's really all we can say with certainty based on the limited information provided. The seller's brief description leaves many questions unanswered about the truck's overall condition, rust status, and maintenance history. At this price point and with the known transmission issue, this would be best suited for someone comfortable with mechanical work or willing to invest in repairs. 18. We're taking a look at a 1980 Ford Bronco that's currently up for sale with an asking price of $6,000. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. The seller mentions that this Bronco needs both an engine and transmission, so it's definitely a project vehicle. But don't let that discourage you entirely, because there are some really cool aspects to this particular Bronco that make it an intriguing option for the right buyer. First off, the body is said to be clean with limited dings and little to no rust, which is a big plus for a vehicle from 1980. It's finished in a sleek black exterior color with a unique racing stripe addition, giving it a sporty and distinctive look. The interior features Indian cloth seats, adding to its one-of-a-kind character. According to the seller, this Bronco has been driven for 120,000 miles and was originally equipped with an automatic transmission. It runs on gasoline and comes with a clean title, so you won't have to worry about any legal issues. Now, let's circle back to the fact that it needs an engine and transmission. This is definitely something to keep in mind, as it will require additional investment and work to get this Bronco up and running. However, if you're someone who enjoys taking on a project and has the skills or resources to tackle an engine and transmission replacement, this could be a great starting point for a cool restoration or customization project. Overall, while this 1980 Ford Bronco does have its challenges, it also has a solid foundation with its clean body and unique features. For the right person who's willing to put in the effort, this could be an exciting opportunity to own a classic Bronco and bring it back to its former glory. Just be sure to carefully consider the additional costs and work involved before making a decision. 19. we're diving into the details of a 1976 Ford F-250 that's currently listed for sale at a price of $15,000. Right off the bat, I want to say that this vintage pickup truck seems to be in pretty impressive condition based on the seller's description. Let's start with the mileage. This F-250 has been driven for 73,000 miles, which is relatively low for a vehicle of its age. It's equipped with a manual transmission, giving you that classic driving experience. The exterior is finished in a vibrant orange color that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The seller mentions that this truck has undergone some significant maintenance and upgrades. It's got a new radiator, fuel pump, brake master cylinder, rear wheel bearings, cylinders, and shoes. This suggests that the owner has taken good care of the vehicle and has invested in keeping it running smoothly. Under the hood, you'll find a 360 V8 engine, which is known for its power and reliability. The seller also notes that the truck has been stored inside, which is always a plus when it comes to preserving the condition of an older vehicle. The ad states that this 1976 Ford F-250 has a clean title and no significant damage or problems. That's a great sign and should provide some peace of mind for potential buyers. Overall, based on the information provided, this vintage F-250 seems to be a solid and well-maintained truck. The recent upgrades and the fact that it's been stored indoors are definite positives. Of course, as with any used vehicle purchase, it's always a good idea to inspect the truck in person, take it for a test drive, and have a mechanic check it out before making a final decision. 20. We're taking a closer look at a 1985 GMC 2500 that's currently up for sale at a price of $6,500. This truck seems to have a lot going for it, and the seller's description paints a picture of a well-maintained and reliable vehicle. First off, let's talk about the basics. This GMC 2500 is a 3/4-ton two-wheel drive truck with a manual transmission. Specifically, it's equipped with an SM465 manual transmission, which is known for its durability. The exterior is finished in a classic blue color, and the interior is also decked out in blue, giving it a cohesive look. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The seller mentions that this truck has had only 2 owners, which is a good sign. It's powered by an SBC 350 engine, and it's riding on tires that are described as like new. That's always a plus, as tires can be a significant expense. The seller also notes that there is no rust on the truck, which is impressive for a vehicle from 1985. It's clear that this GMC has been well cared for over the years. The interior has been updated with a new seat and door cards, adding to its overall appeal. But the upgrades don't stop there. The truck has a new distributor, a new fuel pump, and one of the 2 tanks is brand new. Both sending units have been replaced, and the valve cover, oil pan, and front rear main seals have been replaced as well. The seller emphasizes that the truck leaks no oil and burns no oil, which is a testament to the work that's been put into it. Perhaps most importantly, the seller mentions that they daily drove this truck for 4 years without a single issue. That's a strong endorsement of its reliability and performance. Overall, based on the detailed description provided by the seller, this 1985 GMC 2500 seems to be a solid truck that's been well maintained and upgraded over the years. The fact that it's been daily driven without problems is a big plus, and the recent updates to the interior and mechanical components make it an attractive option.